Alright everybody, this is my last review for the Mandroid Build-A-Figure line. This is the movie version of Black Widow, aka the immensely talented and always gorgeous Scarlett Johansson. I do love most things about this figure. The likeness for Scarlett Johansson in both heads is very good. At least on mine. I have seen a couple people complain about the likeness, but I'm thinking maybe they just got a little bit of a spotty mold issue as far as the faces went. Mine are perfect. They're very much Scarlett Johansson. And that's great. She looks great. What I dislike about the figure, well, let me add that both heads, unlike Winter Soldier where only one of the heads works, both heads, both styles, both looks work for this figure, and I'm really happy about that. I can change her appearance anytime I want, and that gives the character more use than might otherwise have, especially given the fact that she's a super spy that's supposed to be able to change her appearance and blend in. I guess really just changing a hairstyle doesn't make that much of a difference, but neither here or there. You know, maybe add her head to a different body or something like that would work. What I don't like about this figure, three things. Number one, molded guns. Okay? Absolutely hate the molded guns. She's going to have fights she gets into, she's going to have issues, and she's got guns right there at hand level, and she can't use them. Awful, awful, awful. Issue number two, we didn't really get any accessories with her. I understand that we got the Mandroid body, the torso, and the gun from Mandroid with her. We got an extra head, and we did get two hands. One is this open palm, and then another one is a trigger hand, again for guns that she does not have. Maybe could have at least gave us a couple fists or another closed hand. That looks like a trigger hand actually, now that I look a little closer anyways. So, you know, maybe a closed fist at least would have worked. But I see no reason, again, going back to the molded in guns, why couldn't these guns have been functional? They would have stayed out of the way in packaging and would have given us bonus accessories with what would have otherwise been a great figure. I do believe that if those guns on her waist would have been functional, this would have been the best figure in the wave, without question. And they denied it that because they molded the guns to her hips, and instead gave us extra hands that are fairly useless because they didn't even give us the accessories to go with the hands that they gave us. Not very well thought out in my opinion. Now, my issue number three, and this goes directly to working with her as far as filming and stuff goes, the feet. And I have noticed as I've bought figures that these shoes are popular, where they're the solid high heel setup, and she balances noticeably well on them. I think that was me knocking her over more than her actually falling. She was just settling. But while she balances very well on them, a couple of the females that have the same shoes do not, and I also don't know if she really has much of an ankle pivot. I guess she does. It just kind of turns from the back there, I see. But it doesn't go out to the side as much, which is kind of a bummer. Those shoes can make it problematic for posing and stuff, but they're not awful on her, so overall I'm really happy with this figure. So with her being the last figure in the Mandroid line that I have, again, I don't have Red Skull, and I don't have an aim soldier, and I didn't get the stealth cap with the Mandroid leg. I just bought the leg off of somebody. So I cannot speak for those three figures, so therefore I'm not going to rank them, I'm not going to judge them, because I don't have them in hand, and I'm not going to go off of pictures online, or when I looked at them in box when they were in stores, or other people's reviews. I won't judge them or rank them. My rankings are going to go from the figures that I have reviewed. And my rankings are as such for the Mandroid figures. Number one has to be the Mandroid Build-A-Figure. It is an awesomely built figure, and it's a great Build-A-Figure, and it really was worth picking up most of these other figures to make the Mandroid. So I really have to give it its just due. Second, I'm probably a little bit more for Baron Zemo. The figure looks very good. He's going to be a badass character on camera. He just looks the part, and they did a very good job constructing the character. I really can't complain. Third, but very close, is Black Widow. She looks great to me, and if it weren't for those molded on guns, she would have been number one. So of course this figure gets a thumbs up, just for those molded on guns. Alright, number 4, I have to go with Winter Soldier. Love the look with the mask, hate the look with the raccoon eyes, and that awful weapon accessory they gave us with it. Awful. Number 5, it's going to be the Hydra Soldier. As great as he is, the aftermarket price for the figure just doesn't justify investing in more of him. And what are you really going to do with only one Hydra Soldier? Come on. Really? So the price point alone in the aftermarket, with people gouging at $30 plus for one of these figures, it's just not worth it. And I don't recommend buying them at that price point. So do all you can to avoid it. You know, it's very difficult for me to go over $25 for that figure. He's worth it at retail, which is about $22, being generous with tax in America. That's about the limit. I might be willing to go up to $25 with shipping included on him, but that's pushing it. And then last and least is this fucker. He is awful. The Marvel Now Captain America that I received is awful. He is terrible. The paint apps are bad. The joints are loose. The character doesn't want to stand up on his own. He's just so bad. And I have to believe that it's just a bad figure that I got off the line. It happens. I can't blame Hasbro for that. It just is what it is. But I am exceedingly disappointed in that figure. Not only is he going to be not only is he the bottom for this wave, he's going to be one of the bottom figures of the multitude of figures that I have purchased thus far and will review. He is that bad. I'm just praying that after Isaac is done customizing him into the U.S. agent and working his magic, that he makes something work out of this figure. When the only redeemable qualities of a figure is, hey, the shield is good and the shipping from the eBay seller was excellent, it's not a good figure. So there's my wrap up for the Mandroid Build-A-Figure wave. Again, number 1, Mandroid, the Build-A-Figure. Number 2, you have Baron Zemo by a very small margin over number 3, the Black Widow. At number 4, you have the Winter Soldier. That silly weapon and those raccoon eyes kill it for me. Number 5, you have the Hydra Soldier, which is just way too overpriced in the aftermarket for my taste. And the very last figure, and one of the worst figures I have overall in my possession, the Marvel Now Captain America. So I don't know who I'm going to do next, but I promise you it's going to be really interesting, because I do have some great figures and I have some terrible figures, but they're all going to be put to use at some point, so I gotta throw them a review. I'm also going to start tossing in a couple of diorama and sets that I'm building and talking about the process for them and the thought behind them, etc. So if you're into dioramas or you're into stop motion sets and so forth, again, I'm brand new to doing it, but if you're into that stuff, check it out and leave me your thoughts on those, subscribe, do whatever it is you do, and I appreciate you watching. Thanks, guys.